All right, here comes week 2 of NFL free agency, and Philadelphia's new cap space number has enough room for one final move, but it'll be Vic Fangio's decision if he can be the key factor in making it happen. Also, the Eagles have their new backup quarterback, but is Kenny Pickett already unhappy in Philadelphia? And Jalen Hurts, he was spotted working out on that injured knee. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Well, while the Eagles were very busy signing a bunch of new players last week, how about some footage finally of Jalen Hurts' offseason workout from Southern California, which shows Hurts throwing what looks like a dart over some pretend defenders, but even more exciting is him working on his knee stability and explosiveness during a sprint drill shown here. Now, it's not much to go off of, but I'd wager his knee is feeling a lot better than it was in the 2023 season, where it seemingly was never really 100% after that first game, leading to a lot less designed runs and a lot less designed RPOs for a guy that's supposed to be a really good dual threat thrower and passer of the football. With Saquon Barkley now an Eagle, I'm very curious if they will finally bring back the RPO game that was so good in 2022, disappeared in 2023. Maybe healthy Hurts plus Saquon makes for an RPO juggernaut. Now, Jalen Hurts might be 100%, but only 66% of you guys who watch my show on a daily basis are actually subbed to the channel. Just hit 45,000 subs. Let's get to 50. Hit that red button down below right now. Now, of course, over the weekend, Philadelphia made 2 more pretty interesting moves, the first of which was the real shocker, and that was Philly sending a third-round draft pick and 2 sevenths for Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett and a 4th-rounder back. This immediately sent Twitter ablaze because the Eagles suddenly had a quality backup quarterback that wasn't Justin Fields, which, of course, the latter of those 2 points was really amplified whenever Chicago, shortly after Kenny Pickett went to Philadelphia, sent Justin Fields to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 6th-round draft pick that can become a 4th if Fields plays more than 51% of the snaps in the Steel City this year. Naturally, Eagle fans immediately complained because, well, we gave up a 3rd for Kenny Pickett, and yet the Steelers got Justin Fields for way cheaper. The Eagles got hosed. Why didn't they trade for Justin Fields? Well, a little bit of digging reveals the answer, because obviously Dan Graziano pointed out that the Eagles did check in on the Bears' Justin Fields before trading for Kenny Pickett, and Ian Rappaport later confirmed that at least 4 additional teams inquired about trading for Justin Fields, but Fields' representation asked for him not to be traded there. He wanted the Steelers, and the Bears did him right by him. So there's a pretty good chance that Philadelphia wanted Justin Fields over Kenny Pickett, but Chicago, and I guess being really nice, said, "Justin, where do you want to go?" And he said, why don't I go compete against Russell Wilson, because I can beat Russell Wilson, get a starting job, and start fresh in Pittsburgh instead of going to be Jalen Hurts' backup. And the Bears, I guess, again, being nice, went ahead and gave him his wish. Okay, so the Eagles didn't choose Kenny Pickett necessarily, but there is a big plus of having Kenny Pickett over Justin Fields. One, Pickett will only make $3 million this season and next season on his very cheap rookie contract, whereas Justin Fields, he's going to cost $25+ million next season on a 5th-year option, or I guess the Steelers will just let him walk in free agency. Either way, they're going to have to re-sign the guy, and that's going to cost way more than what Kenny Pickett could be. So I guess Pickett being much cheaper is a much better long-term option if you want Pickett to be the long-term backup quarterback, but even if you just keep him for the next 2 seasons, then trade him for a better draft pick because he's going to start somewhere, Philadelphia still seemingly got the better end of the deal. Plus, I guess if you really want a plus, he does seem to be a massive Eagle fan, or at least grew up a massive Eagle fan, and now gets to get the classic Nick Rolls quarterback factory role in Howie Roseman's offense. Pickett makes a bunch of sense, and while I was very skeptical of the trade in the very beginning, coming in, learning behind Jalen Hurts, and just taking the pressure off of being a starting quarterback for somebody who clearly wasn't ready to be a starting quarterback, despite being drafted in the 1st round out of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Steelers, he now can just come in, blank slate, learn as much as he possibly can behind Jalen Hurts alongside these weapons, and either blossoms into a starter in the future like Jimmy Garoppolo eventually did. Either way, it's a good system and a good overall fit for Pickett if he's fine with being in Philadelphia. And that, of course, is really my only concern, because it was revealed shortly after the whole trade went down that Mike Tomlin had originally promised Kenny Pickett the Steelers starting job before then signing Russell Wilson and flipping to naming Wilson as the leader in the spot, which of course rubbed Kenny Pickett the wrong way and seemingly created some sort of attitude, resistance, we're not quite sure, but it resulted in him being traded. And on one hand, I get it. Like, Pickett was basically said, hey, you're the leader in the clubhouse for the starting role. You were our starter last year. Then they get Russell Wilson. It's like, just kidding. It's going to be Russell Wilson. That rubs Pickett the wrong way, and he's traded. My only question is, he wanted to be a starter, clearly, but now he's very obviously a backup in Philadelphia with no chance of being the starter behind Jalen Hurts in his brand new contract. Is he really happy to be here? Is the attitude going to be an issue? That remains to be seen. Now, for what it's worth, Pickett was in Philadelphia today speaking to the media and tried to throw some water on the flames of his unhappiness with how things ended in Pittsburgh.
I think the communication, is what it is. It was behind closed doors. I'm confident in the way that I handled it. I handled it the way I should have handled it. I'm excited to be here. It worked out so well that Philly was the place I ended up landing in. So, I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Now, there was some fake news spreading around Twitter a little bit today, and I guess yesterday as well, that the Eagles suddenly have, oh my gosh, the fourth most cap space in the league right now with around $39 million available, which sounds great until you go ahead and actually look at, oh, that doesn't include C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Josh Huff, White, Mann, Hennessy, Bond, or Lovato's contracts. So if you see great cap space headlines, they're not exactly truthful. Now, a quick guesstimation puts Philadelphia somewhere right now in the low 20s, high teens, after all those signings do officially go on the books, which, honestly, it's still a lot of money, but it's nowhere near the $39 million that some people want you to believe is technically available right now. Still, though, teens, 20s, it's still a lot of money, and you could go land maybe star safety Justin Simmons, who, yes, as of filming this video on a Monday morning, remains a free agent and is seemingly closer to choosing a spot. I don't expect him to be a free agent for very much longer. There are some rumors, though, that popped up over the weekend suggesting that the Eagles could still be in play after C.J. Gardner-Johnson signed, because Simmons obviously could still be a really good safety next to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but apparently the asking price was too high for Philadelphia, and so they pulled the trigger back a little bit here and are waiting patiently. Now, SportsRack, of course, estimated a Simmons deal could land around $11.1 million per year before the start of free agency, but after week one, Simmons clearly wasn't offered anything north of $10 million and now has to basically reassess. Remember how C.J. Gardner-Johnson turned down an Eagles extension last offseason and ended up signing that one-year, $8 million deal with the Detroit Lions? I could see Simmons in line for something very, very similar if he decides to go for the prove-it deal route, and if that's the case, why not play for his favorite defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio?
Your take really on Vic's personality, demeanor, what is it?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone else has used this word or word similar, but it's like Godfather, Italian, mob-esque mentality. You make a bad play, you make a good play. It's as a guy, and the great part about it is I knew a couple guys from Chicago, so I was with them in the offseason, just trying to get a jump on them as a coaching staff, and I asked them, how's Vic? And they all, responded the same way, a little chuckle, a smile, and, he's great.
Now, listen, I don't want to be greedy. We can't just sit back and say, oh, the Eagles should sign every single good free agent. They already got a bunch last week. Sign a bunch more. Still got to think about cap hits this year or cap hits extended down the line, whether it's a one-year deal, two-year deal. There's no guarantee Justin Simmons becomes an Eagle, but wouldn't you much rather have Justin Simmons paired with C.J. Gardner-Johnson than C.J. Gardner-Johnson paired with maybe the Ghost and Reed Blankenship? No offense to Reed, but if you could get Justin Simmons on a one-year, $8 million deal that's heavily incentivized, being 30 years old, you got to figure how he would at least make that play, right? Oh, and speaking of loving Fangio's schemes, the safety already signed to Philadelphia, Gardner-Johnson. He spoke to the media over the weekend and was asked about what he really, really likes about Vic Fangio, and he seems pretty pumped to be playing under his overall scheme in Philadelphia.
CJ, what do you know about Vic Fangio's scheme?
It's legit. I'm ready to ball. All the guys I've been here before, and just ready to take the next step as a player and go win a championship.
Now, the other player trying to figure out the Fangio scheme, newly signed, officially today, obviously it was over the weekend, is Devin White, and his one-year deal looks a lot better for the team than I originally thought, because we were told $7 million. Well, it's only $3.5 million guaranteed, with the rest being heavily, and I mean heavily incentivized, which is a really, really great deal for Philadelphia. And despite Twitter, of course, telling you that his numbers were way down last year, White only allowed 61.9% completion percentage last season. That was second best among linebackers, so he wasn't great in other areas. Yes, he missed some time, he got benched, but still, he wasn't necessarily terrible in every phase of the linebacker game. Again, I don't get the complaining on this one. The Eagles have needed help at linebacker. They needed depth at linebacker, and it doesn't stop them from going out and drafting a linebacker in round 1 or round 2, even if Devin White comes in. Plays terrible, but can mentor to Nakobe Dean, mentor to a young linebacker, and get the linebacker core future pointing in the right direction. That's almost worth $3.5 million on its own. Now, of course, you flip the script and Devin White plays really well and gets Nakobe Dean playing very well as well. Well, then you're looking at $3.5 million for what could be two legit starting linebackers, the first of which Philadelphia has had, or at least not had, in a very, very long time. And even though it is week 2 of NFL free agency and the moves are going to die down a little bit here, if something were to happen, as we always promised you last week and proved it, hopefully, when you guys watched all of our live shows, myself and Josh Davis will go live the second a Justin Simmons or somebody else signing were to happen. Make sure you hit that sub button, turn on the notification bell as well, because we're ready. You guys should be ready as well. I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out on a Monday. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.